Hello, Norman.
Hello there, sir.
Uh, how you been doing?
Yeah, doing okay, hanging in there. That's the most important thing, I guess.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. I think both of us, I think I'm getting, I'm 81 now, and it's getting a little tough, but I don't know, we'll see.
If you're 81, you're doing pretty darn good. You got your mind.
Yeah, that's the one thing that keeps me going, this darn calendar. All the questions and everything that's going on. I listen and I watch everyone, and I try to put as much as I can into the calendar, and hopefully I've got it as 90%, maybe 95%, pretty close to what it should be.
Well, I've got a doozy for you tonight.
Okay.
I found the reason why we have a contradiction, you and I.
Okay.
When I was on with those fellows in Africa last week,
Right.
we were going over some of the things that they were asking there. I don't know if you listened to that recording or not. Probably wasn't worth your effort to do it.
No, I did listen to it.
But I think on there I actually said, hey, I got to pick a bone with Norman. So maybe we can iron that out, because I'm not sure either. You read, as I do, accounts of how this is supposed to work, and you read the texts, and it comes to the point where things just kind of start muddling together. But I am positive that I've read about when the year starts and the concept of the non-day. And I'm going to have to go back through the literature again to find where I got this. I think I got it from Jonathan Ben Dove, but I am not sure. I have to go read those essays again. So I'm going to share my screen.
Okay.
This is March 2023.
Yep.
And you have the equinox on the 30th of March.
No, the 20th of March.
Well, yeah, 20th of March. There we go. I thought 30th. That can't be right.
No.
My understanding was that when you get the equinox, and you, of course, you've got to have you have to have the beginning of your year tied to the equinox, or you're going to get out of whack with the procession of seasons.
Correct.
The way I would do that is I would have to go to the first day down here to the 26th, and then go 4 days there to start the year on the 29th.
Okay.
Now let me go back and show you at the beginning of this year.
Right.
I got too many windows open. Come on. Okay, there we go. This time, the 20th was on a Sunday.
Correct.
I've had this question numerous times again.
Right.
So if you go to the first day after the equinox, that's going to be over here on the 27th. And then the first day is going to be on the 30th of March.
Right.
As you can see, doing it that way. That's part of it. The second part of it is, I noticed that you and I are figuring the beginning of the year at different times on account of the non-day. And I should say intercalary days on account of the non-day. I've said that there's no reason to ever do intercalary days, but I see that the way you're starting the year, you would have to, because you're going to be out if you start on the 365th day. You go a little ways, and maybe 20 years out, you're going to already start to see this season change until you put a few days in there. So the way I understand it is that the 365th day is a non-day. They don't count it as a day. They count it as a non-day. It's not a day at all. So what they do is they tie the new year to the equinox. And in this case, it would have to be the first day, which would put my way of figuring it a week ahead of yours. And then at the beginning of next year, it would do the same, a week ahead of yours, and maybe even a day because of the non-day. So actually, according to what I read, you would start the year on the 366th day. We're not considering the 0.25 days or whatever it is right now. So tell me, what's wrong with that?
Wow, my goodness, you're really throwing something at me, which I've heard before. Excuse me.
You've probably heard it from me.
No, I don't think so. No, not from, what I heard from you, and this is going back a few years.
Sure.
You always start your new year after the equinox, never before. And this is the rule that I've always followed. So it's a pity that you don't have that reference to non-day. I would like to see that. Well, don't bother about it now, but if you can find it for me, because I'm very curious about that. Now, I've heard somebody saying that before, and I find that very curious, because in all my research, I've never found a non-day. I mean, what do you mean a non-day? What do we do then? Sit around and twiddle our thumbs? A non-day?
Well,
This doesn't make sense.
One of the reasons that you can sit around and twiddle your thumbs is because this feast calendar is just used to mark feasts. That the nation, for instance, will take Israel in the time of Messiah. The official calendar was the lunisolar calendar.
Yep.
No matter how loony it was.
Yep.
The lunisolar calendar, and everybody had to set their secular work and their tax days and their holidays by the lunisolar calendar, which meant that you wouldn't have a Shabbat necessarily every 7 days, but I don't think there.
By whose calendar is that? That is not a Jewish calendar.
No, it was the Greek market calendar.
Correct.
When the Sadducees came in, broke off from the Zadokites in about 175 BC, they changed it from the Zadokite calendar that's prescribed in Ezekiel 44, and they changed it to the market calendar so they wouldn't have to deal with Sabbaths being market days, so they could make more money. It was an economic thing, actually. So the market days and the days on the lunisolar calendar in Israel would be the same.
Right.
So they could do their investments and whatever the heck else they did to make money at that time, because that's all they were interested in was money. So that's when the calendar changed. And the people, when the ones that would use the Zadokite calendar, and there were still many of them, there were at least thousands of them that we know of.
Right.
They would, after marking their holy days down, and maybe even using this calendar for the first 7 months. After 7 months, they wouldn't use it anymore because there's no more temple days on there. So non-day or not, it wouldn't make a bit of difference anyway.
Right.
But see, if you do it the way I'm talking about, then you would never have to put in 6 days every 6 years or 7 days every 6 years. You wouldn't have to intercalate that at any time. Now, I don't know if you know the fellow, Abi Mordecai.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. We had a long talk about this, and he wrote me a question about that. I might have even sent it on to you about this very thing.
Right.
Why you never had to intercalate down the years to keep in the procession of seasons. And I explained this to him, and he couldn't quite get it.
No.
Until he ran it out 200 years.
Yeah.
And then he got back in touch with me and said, "You're right. I mean, yeah, I've run this out 200 years and I never needed to intercalate. I never had to put any extra days in, as long as each new year is set up based on the formula equinox to first day to fourth day."
Yeah, but you see, I don't understand why you go to the following week, the 27th, and then you start your year.
Because the next first day after the equinox, say in the picture I've got up here,
Right.
March 2023, you have to go to the first day after the equinox. If the equinox ends up on the first day, well, during that day, it's not after the equinox, it's the same time.
Okay.
And so the way I understand it is you would have to not use that Sunday, that first day, as a marker, but go to the next one.
Okay.
So that's the way I understand the thing, and I've had such a time trying to explain this to people. It ends up being a pretty long essay, and people usually don't get it. They can't understand how a 364-day year can fit into a 365-day year.
Well,
And
I'll show you in a moment maybe how I think I've resolved that problem. I'll show you that in a moment, because I'm constantly working on the calendar. Every time I open it up, I see something fresh.
Mhm.
So I've got a slightly revised version from what you're showing me now. Nothing changes here, but I've got a few other little notes that I think help me to understand. But continue. This is intriguing.
Well, I just wanted to say another thing is that I can't imagine how much graphic work you have to do to produce something like this.
It drives me nuts.
Are you using a particular program to put this together?
No, just a drawing program, Corel Draw.
Oh,
Yeah.
do you have an updated version of it, or do you use the one from 20 years ago?
Yes, I use the latest version. I've got the Pro version, 2021, and Corel Draw. 20 years ago, it was, everybody sort of, put their nose up. I use Illustrator. Well, today, Corel Draw is giving Illustrator a run for its money.
Yeah, I've read that.
Yeah. So before we get off that subject, something that I'd like you to think about and help me here, that, because I'm 81, my reality is I might live another year. I might live up until 90. I don't know. But if you know someone who's good at graphics and has got maybe Corel Draw or Illustrator, if they would consider taking over maybe next year or thereafter to continue with this calendar, because I've put a lot of effort and time into it to no avail. Nobody's going to see it other than you, and how you share it with others. So keep that in mind, run it by people and say, hey, Norman's looking for someone to take over, and we'll go from there.
Well, I did suggest Michael Romano, but I guess that didn't work out. I don't know.
No, we spoke, and he was very pleasant, and I think I was. I hope I didn't insult him. And he said, "You got it." He says, "Wow, you got it." I said, "Okay, I'm gonna." I think I wanted to follow up with him, and that was the end of it. He never followed up. He never. I don't know what happened. I guess I come across a little abrasive, but that's the way I am, I guess.
I don't think that's the problem. I think the main thing with Michael is that he's got like 7 kids now.
Oh, I see.
And I don't think he's done yet. Of course, I'll have to mask his name in this, I'm sure. But
Yeah,
that's what I think the problem is with him. And I
yeah,
asked him to come aboard and speak numerous times. I even went to his house in Louisiana and stayed there a week.
yeah.
And he did that one calendar explanation.
Yeah.
That I hear a lot about that. And then that was really the end of it.
Yeah, you know, and this is based. Listen, I'm no genius. I get my information from all over the place. I listen to other people. You know, you've heard the guys say, "Oh, well, you start your year from the equinox," and you know, you immediately know he's way off scale because his Sabbath will move all over the place. So stuff like that, I listen to practically every video that I can find on the Enoch calendar, I'll listen to. And some people have got some pretty good information, especially historical information. And then I try to glean the information. Is he on the right track? And this is basically how I have put the calendar together over the years. Each year, I've cleaned it up. Initially, I had a lot of stuff in there, but I try to keep the calendar as clean, the latest version, as clean as possible, just so people can look at the calendar on the wall and know, oh, today's Monday and there's nothing on yet today. Yeah, they can see it. That's my initial objective. But I wanted to put some information on the calendar pertaining to the Enoch system. Now, we are in a slight, not a disagreement, but the way we
different way of seeing things, that's all.
Yeah. No, like I said, I'd really like that reference of the so-called non-day on the historical. But my question to you then is the Dead Sea Scrolls. We see the guys, we see the community there saying, hey, you guys with the moon thing, you guys are wrong. You're not following Enoch's calendar. And hence, that's where they left. So every scholar who worked on the Dead Sea Scrolls, none of them have ever contemplated or suggested there was a non-day. We know that there was historically that division, and the calendar was all over the place, but the ministry, the Yahad, the Zadoks, from there at the Dead Sea Scrolls, they said, you guys forget it, you're wrong. And that is where I come from. And hence we see that we know we have the Zadok priests. They had a cycle twice a week or two. I've got the actual the list of who was doing what on what month. I had it a few years ago. I took it off because there was too much information going on the calendar. But there's never a non-day among them. That was a continuous, unbroken cycle, never broken, never a gap. Even the intercalary day, we had a priest who started the Sabbath, started the week, I forget his name, but we have a priest. And because it was the intercalary period, to keep within season, all the high priests, not the entire family, there would be too many, but several hundred, would all be there that coming week. The end of that week, the guy that started would continue at the end of that Sabbath. That cycle, the family names never broke. It was a continuous cycle. And that's where I'm having the challenge, how to sort that out.
Well, I'll tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to look over that literature again, those calendar essays I have and everything else. And I'm going to try to find that, because I know that I read that. I don't know where else I would have got that idea, but when I figured the non-day into the whole formula, then everything worked out to the point where you never needed to put any more in there. I know it's got to be in there. Let me look for it.
No, I've heard that before, not just from you. I've heard that from, but that is the Greeks, the whole system that they imposed upon the Hebrews, and the Qumran community said, "You guys are wrong. We're out of here. We're leaving the temple," because of that. And they didn't follow that system at all. That's where I'm having the challenge with trying to resolve that.
I don't think that people today are really sure which way they ran the lunisolar calendar at that time. I don't think they can say by which particular quarter of the moon you figure the Sabbath from. No. Or does the Sabbath change every 3 months, every month, every 6 months?
No, they didn't. Never. They did not use the moon. That's where the big argument among the guys are. They never used the moon system. We see this in Jubilee. And that's the problem. Was always from the sun. Now they had the moon there in their system as well, but they didn't use the moon to calculate the years and the seasons. And that was the argument amongst the groups. Not the Yahad, the outside group, and saying, you're using the moons and we don't. We just use strictly. Although they've got the indication, and the question was, why is it there? And one interesting theory I heard is because they need to know what was happening with the moon system so that they were anticipating taking over again the temple system one day, and they needed to know what they were doing. That's the reason why they kept that record. But
that makes a lot of sense. And if you read Enoch, the moon stuff, the Yerach stuff is just simply an auxiliary. It's not, it's just to show what the moon is doing during the times of the solar calendar. But I don't think that it's indicative in any way of how they would set any dates. And that passage that you have in your calendar from Jubilees chapter 6, I don't think that there's any way a person can read that and think that there's any way that the moon is figured in the calendar making process. In fact, I've had people say to me that, well, if Jubilees was the way they did it, then why isn't Jubilees in the Bible?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, Canon is, I'm past this whole Canon issue. Yeah, look, you know as well as I do that ancients, they didn't have the Canon as we have it today. They had the scrolls, individual scrolls all over the place. They had Enoch, they had Jubilees, they had, you name it, they had it. That's what they had. And that is what was found at the Dead Sea Scrolls as well. Tons of stuff. So it wasn't like the closed book as we have today.
Yeah, I don't remember ever reading in the scrolls or really any place else actual listing of some sage telling us which of these books are anointed or which are authoritative or not. I don't remember any lists until the list from the heretic, the Christian heretic. I can't think of his name right now.
Right.
I think that was the first one. Shoot, what's his name?
Well, no, there's so many of them.
The worshiper of Luke and Paul. I can't think of his name. Okay. Somebody's saying, well, these guys are so stupid, they don't even know his name. Yeah, well, okay. We'll see when you get old what you can remember.
I know. This is what I found.
Your name.
Yeah, my recall is bad. This is why one of the reasons why I don't like coming online with you guys anymore, because when you throw a question at me, I stumble and I feel like an idiot because I know the answer, but it's there,
Yeah.
but it doesn't come up, so hence that's the primary reason why I don't sort of, I love coming into your room and listening to your teaching. You've taught me a lot. I really appreciate that. I'd like to share the screen with you now, and I want to show you something.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we do that? You're going
I
to,
get off of here
yeah,
and you get on.
share screen.
I'm looking for stop share right now.
Yeah, I always.
Oh, I'm not sharing right now. I already turned it off.
Okay, all right. Share screen. There it is there. So nothing much has changed. It's very much still the same, with the exception what this whole 365 and a quarter or 360 days, and it bothered me for the longest time until I heard someone talking about this. And I thought, oh, but of course, the problem with a lot of these guys, they get so technical that you're
too technical. I mean, they overthink it, overdo it.
Right. So what I did, okay, this is what he said. Let me see if I can figure this out and draw a graphic. So let me just go to, where is it? Page 2.
Are we in Corel now?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm in Corel now. This entire thing is Corel Draw. So let me see, where is it? Let me go home. I guess that's the easiest way for me to go, cancel. Let me go to the beginning. Okay, so yeah, we are here. Timeline. Yeah, we are. Zodiac. Have a look at that. Yeah, we have January the 1st, which is the Roman first year. The sun, the earth is over here. Yeah, we have Enoch here, begins at March the 20th over here. And yeah, we have the moon system, which moves all over the place. So it takes this earth to rotate around the system once a year, 365 and a quarter days. Correct. No argument. Enoch starts from here. To rotate, it takes 364 days to return to the same place in this whole cycle. That's the difference.
Yeah, I'm not saying that maybe another sage corrected it on down the line someplace to make up for that day and a quarter. That's a very interesting illustration.
Yeah. Because when you think about it, yeah, everybody argues, well, what about the 365 days? Yes, that is the Rome's year. That's when it starts, January the 1st, no question. But don't forget, the biggest problem, I think a lot of people forget about the fact in our solar system, everything is moving. Everything is turning, rotating around everything. The entire thing is, it's insane. It's not a flat earth, number one. So all these earths and stars take time to rotate. So from this point here to go around the zodiac all the way around, it takes 365 days and a quarter to come back to that same point, roughly, give or take in a couple of hours. The same occurs here. Enoch says, no, your year starts here, 364th day in March the 20th, the spring, and the same occurs. It takes all that time, 364 days to get to that same point. This moon system is all over the place.
It is.
So that to me solves that why. Why is it 365 and Enoch says no, 364?
I've heard people say that that's because of the time that Joshua stopped the earth, but I'm not sure that I can believe that. I mean,
no, not at all. There's a major. I've looked into that, and the problem with that, if that was to happen, holy cow,
everything would go crashing.
everything. It's because everything is moving. And
Mhm.
this is the main issue. So my other problem is, so I'm going to have a look at what you said there the following Sunday. I'll have a look. I'll see where it goes. Don't forget, I also none of these dates that I've put into the calendar is my idea. None of it. Everything that I get, everyone. Let me go all the way to the end. I've got another one here. Where is it? Oh, it's 2021. No, okay. 2027. You see how the moon the sun returns back here to Sunday in March 2027. Prior to that,
27. You've got this worked out that far?
yeah, 2026. It's on the 20th, and I show you all I do. I go to time and date, and I find out when is spring equinox. And they say it'll fall on the 20th of March, blah, 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 blah. So I go here, down here, my calendar, the local built-in system.
Yeah.
I click on here, I click on 22, and I've got all these dates. I say, okay, let's have a look. 27, March, when is 20th? 20th falls on there it is, falls on the Saturday. So that's how I figure it out. I mean, like I said, I'm no genius, I can assure you.
Well, as long as you start with the equinox in one way or the other and you're consistent about it, you're going to be close enough, no matter how it shakes out in the end. You're going to be close enough. That's what's important, because the equinox to equinox is 365.25 days as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
No problem.
Okay. Well, that is something. I really like that that graphic on the.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do, Jackson, if you like, I can send you the latest PDF and it'll be in there.
Yes, that would be great.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I release this recording?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay, very good. There are so many people that ask continually about this particular topic that we're on here.
Right.
Let's just let them hear what the difference is, and maybe somebody will come up with either the non-day concept or can show us that it's not there. But
anyway, yeah,
I can remember what I read 30 years ago, but I can't tell you what I read yesterday.
No, I know, it's driving me nuts as well.
Mr.
Jackson, I thank you very much for everything that you've everything that I've learned from you. It's helped. You know, and I also do my calendar for my old buddies. That they follow the moon cycle, and I do their calendar for them every year as well. And so I don't have a problem doing graphics for people. You know, it's not an issue.
I wish that's something I could do. I do it in my own primitive way, but what you have there is mind-boggling.
Yeah. All right. So spread the word. Find out if anybody's interested.
I have been.
Yeah. Oh, great. And I'll send them the entire file so they don't have to recreate it. You know, they'll just need a program that they can open it with, either Corel Draw. It has to be the latest version. Or if they've got an older version, they have to let me know what version they've got, and then I save the file in that version, or Illustrator, and I can save it as an Illustrator. But like I said, there's no rush for it. I'm still relatively okay.
Yeah, you're looking good.
I'll hang in there as long as I can.
Okay, brother.
Okay, Jackson. Nice
chatting again. Talk to you later.
We'll keep in touch.